I am a long hauler of COVID. I'm also healed by the wounds of Jesus Christ. Now, what are some of the symptoms that you will feel uh, having this COVID long haul? Well, you can have elevated heart rate. I remember uh, after having long COVID, I would just walk, stand up or walk, and just be outside, and every single moment my heartbeat would be so elevated. And I remember measuring my heartbeat, and it would be 90, it would be close to 100 beats per minute. And it's exaggerating in terms of the heartbeat. So I noticed that many times our heartbeat would be very much elevated in normal instances where it would be a lot lower. So whenever I would walk outside, whenever I would stand up, my heartbeat would always be racing at, just in random moments. And also just doing simple things I used to do before, like stand up or walk, my heartbeat would be elevated. I would also notice that whenever I would eat certain foods, certain ingredients, that would increase my heart rate. I would also notice that emotional stress, normal emotional stress would also elevate my heart rate a lot more than what it used to before. So something's really off there. I could also notice the hormones in the body were also out of balance. My capacity of being in stress and being in different environments wasn't how it was before. Best way I could describe it. Had a very hard time sleeping. This was every single day, and it still has progressed a year and a half later. My sleeping has improved, but it hasn't gotten to the point where I was before, being able to sleep right away and without a lot of effort. Now I'm waking up in the middle of the night, and it's still something consistent. Depression is another side effect that you might go through having long COVID. Like I said, all your hormones are out of balance, and the way you react and respond to certain circumstances is not the same as before. Now, you also will go through a lot of psychological torment, having long haul symptoms, and reason being is you're going through this situation where a lot of people are not understanding what you're going through, and it's also hard to express. And then when you go to the doctor and you try to explain, many times the doctors are not capacitated enough in this area to be able to respond to what you're trying to explain. So I remember going through all these different specialists, cardiologists, endocrinologists, neurologists, MD doctors, and all wouldn't be able to help me. Some would comprehend that something's going on, but they're not able to help you. So you're stuck in this loop where it's like a never-ending loop where you're in this battle trying to get better, yet no one can help you. No one can help you. Now, I would describe those maybe as the first 6 months. Well, one more symptom I would also describe in the first 6 months. Hypertension was another thing that was happening. I would wake up and I would just feel so tense, just waking up. So maybe it has something to do with the blood pressure or whatnot, but I also noticed my blood pressure was out of balance, and you would wake up in this weird state that you never did before. Now, that was the first 6 months. As the next 6 months progressed, it seemed like you were becoming better. I would describe it as that. I was becoming better, it seemed like, but then something started to happen. I would wake up in tremors. It first started very, very, very slightly. I would wake up and it would be like a small tremor. And, you think it's just going to go away. You check out the doctors, they don't know what to do. But as time went on, as I was believing I was getting better, I was in a way also getting worse, because I started having a lot of tremors. And this only manifested whenever you're still. So when you're sleeping, when you're waking up, that's when you notice that your body's actually shaking like nonstop. So this actually got worse as time went on, and this is one of the biggest battles for me. Besides not being able to sleep, the tremors has been just horrible, horrendous, and I'm sure maybe a lot of you have gone through something like this, and my heart goes out to you, man, because man, this stuff is a battle. And on top of all the symptoms you're going through, and then having to go through even more stuff, like this is best way I describe this. Unfortunately, is going through hell. You're going through hell, and this the only word that I can express when it comes to describing everything you have to go through with this long haul symptoms. It's going through hell. Best way you can say it. Some other symptoms, your whole body. I remember the first few months, your whole body just hurts. Everything. Literally everything. I remember my kidneys hurting, my back hurting, my chest, my legs, underneath my foot, just nonstop. And I remind you, I was a very healthy person before, and I'm just thrown into this horrible state of existence. Now, this is from a perspective of a male, and obviously a female could be also experiencing these symptoms, but along with many other symptoms. I've read a lot online about females losing hair, their cycle being off balance, and many other symptoms that are a little bit different for the females, but also similar in a sense. Now, I also want to describe a little bit of the first days of having long haul symptoms. So after extensive research, I've done so much research because doctors aren't able to explain anything, and it's up to you to find the information, unfortunately. So basically what happens is you go through a cytokine storm is what is happening. So let me rewind a little bit. What the data is showing is that many people are low in vitamin D, they get infected, and then after they overstrain themselves in one particular day, even 2 or 3 months after the initial COVID infection, they begin to have long haul symptoms. So vitamin D plays a factor in this. I know I was low in vitamin D when I did my physical, and I know that was one of the causes for this long haul symptom. So studies show that you actually go through a cytokine storm. You could Google that terminology, and you can get the definition. Basically, defines this. It's defined as the following: cytokine storm are life-threatening systematic inflammatory syndrome involving elevated levels of circulating cytokines in immune cell hyperactivation that can be triggered by various therapies, pathogens, cancers, autoimmune conditions, and disorders. Just to say it in English, basically your immune system overreacts to the virus. So then it begins to overreact and leads to the long haul symptom. So the day before I went through I was going through this long haul stage. Actually, I was working out, I was playing football, and I was overstressing my body, which is normal. But what you realize is that this research that's saying that the virus lies dormant in the body, and I really do believe this is true. So after I did a whole bunch of workouts the next day, as my body's recuperating, right? Your immune system works in that area to repair all these broken down muscle tissues in your body. So that virus that lies dormant in your body realizes that your body is recovering, so it begins to attack it right there, then and there. So when that started happening to me, I was in church actually, and I started passing out in the middle of mass. and I got help to go towards the back, and I was lying with a low pulse for 20 minutes, just trying to get my pulse back. And I was just passing out, and I remember that passing out. So let me see, for 20 minutes. So it took me over 20 minutes to get my pulse back to normal. I remember feeling this strange sensation in my back, and then I started to had that feeling of passing out. I had a low pulse, and it took me over 20 minutes to get my pulse back to normal, where I could stand and function. After that, I just started feeling bad. I couldn't get back to normal, so I ended up going to the hospital, and things seemed fairly okay. And then they put me in the room, in the stretcher. They would do X-rays on my chest, and then while I was waiting, I began to have a hard time breathing. I was like, and that probably lasted about 15-20 minutes while I was going through that. So I don't know how to describe it, but it basically feels like your chest is being attacked and you can't breathe. I also had extreme thirst at that moment, and I would attempt to drink water, but the water wouldn't quench my thirst. I'll explain a little bit of these details in a different video if you guys want more information. But now that I've gone through a lot of things, I know exactly what's happening there. But so they check my X-rays, come back good. They don't know what's going on. They put some IVs in me and they sent me home. So since I had some IVs, I slept okay that night. But the next day, and the next day after that, I lasted about 3 days without being able to sleep due to this cytokine storm that's in your body, like this overreaction of your hormones and the overreaction of immunity. So I looked like a monster. I was like 3 days not being able to sleep, just in the worst state of existence. And then my eyes turned yellow on top of that, and that's when I decided to go to the doctor. And like I said before, this doctor was not educated. I just believed that everyone that walked into the doctor was depressed, and that was not the case. There was something really wrong with me, and they're not able to find out what the problem is. But now that I've done enough research, that's basically why I was going through the cytokine storm. So this overreaction of the immunity causes the immunity to over make the histamines, right? You have histamines in your body that's normal in your body, but it begins to overproduce histamines, which then creates inflammation, which then creates more inflammation with the nerves, and that's what leads to the tremors, basically. So this is a little bit of my experience of what long haul symptom is. My intention, hopefully, is to help anyone that needs help out there, give you a lot of words of encouragement and hope, and to encourage you to believe that God has healed you. And Peter 2:24 says, by his wounds you are healed. If God really exists, if he really stepped on this earth and he died on this cross, and the Bible is true, as we believe is true, then we are already healed. All we have to do is believe that we are healed, and it will become true. And my brothers and sisters, I've gone through enough graces and blessings in my life to have experienced this truth of the cross, this truth of Jesus Christ dying on the cross. And I encourage you that's going through this crazy moment of long haul symptoms, this perfect suffering, I would describe it, because it's a suffering that's something that you can only experience yourself, and no one around you can even perceive to offer it to Christ, to allow Him to transform it, and to believe that you are already healed in the midst of your suffering. So feel free to reach out. If you guys need more information, I would love to stay in contact with you. Continue to have hope. You're going to make it through this. Even though it's a long road, God is with us. So thank you so much. God bless.